Okay, so we're back and now we're going to move on and talk about the goat. And I'm going to sort of try to go through this quickly because I want you on your feet, not listening to me. So you just finished learning about goals, obstacles, tactics, and expectations. And we're going to spend some time now working on the worksheet because I want you to fill that out. So take 5 minutes, fill that out, think about the talk you're giving in May or a talk that you have coming up, and then you're going to spend a few minutes turning to somebody on your left or right and talking through your four worksheet pieces. Pam's going to pause the video, and when you've done those 2 pieces, then we'll come back. Okay, so here's what I imagine happened. I imagine that you were relatively generic in how you talked about it. I want to get through my talk without being so nervous that I am shaking and throw up. My obstacle is my anxiety. My tactic are I'm going to try to breathe deeper. I'm going to be a little bit more prepared. I'm going to use my PowerPoint as kind of a prop, those sorts of things. And my expectation is that the audience will stay engaged and I will actually make it through the talk. Those are totally fine pieces, but they're a little bit generic. So think about when you go to a paint store, you can't buy white paint. You can buy December Snow, you can buy Crystal Palace, you can buy Silver Silent, you can buy all hundreds of colors, hundreds of names for white paint. Because the more specific you can be, the more compelling what you're doing is. So let's think about, let's use this as an example because I don't know enough about the insurance industry to be able to give you a decent example of a talk. So think about you have a meeting with your boss because you're going to ask for a raise. Now, your goal could simply be, I want a raise. And your obstacle could be that your boss has told you there's no money for raises this year. So your tactic is to think about showing your boss how valuable you've been, and your expectation is that you'll get the raise. Okay, that would be fine, but I'm going to bet you don't get the raise. So actually what you want to do is you want to think about much more specific, concrete, definable elements to this worksheet. So going back again to this example of having a meeting with your boss for a raise, your goal is to get a raise. That's fine. The obstacle might be that you know that third quarter earnings were down, and you know that your boss has been told that either cuts need to be made or salaries need to be frozen or something that is much more specific than simply they've told me I can't get a raise. Your tactics are things like, here's where I exceeded my goals for my evaluation last time. Here's where I brought value that goes above and beyond what is in my job description. Here is how and why I've been such an important asset to this team. I've mentored these people. I've gone out of my way to give these presentations. I have shown up and done these extra pieces. I've volunteered to be on these committees, those kinds of things. So you're really using tactics as an opportunity to make a compelling argument for why you should get a raise. And the expectation is that you get a raise, but it's actually much more specific than that. The expectation needs to be that you make it so clear to your boss that you are a valuable, beyond valuable asset to the team, that a small raise is the very least that they can do because you're such an asset that it's very likely you're going to get poached by somebody else, either another team in your business or you're going to get poached by another company altogether. So do you see how that changes the game? So in acting, we call this idea of raising the stakes. So again, think about a fight you had with your parents about a curfew. I want to stay out till 11. You know your curfew is at 10. But I want to be out till 11. Why? Because all my friends get to be out till 11. That no parent's going to say yes to that. But if you can raise the stakes and say, you know, I've worked really hard this semester. My grades are better than they ever have been. I've successfully kept my job. I've gotten myself up and ready for school every day. I'm doing my own laundry. I'm doing all of these things. You have all of these examples that persuasively support why you should get to change your curfew from 10 to 11. It's much harder for your parents to say no. The exact same thing is true for a presentation. If you want your audience to start here and go to here because of what you tell them in your talk, then your goals, obstacles, tactics, and expectations have to meet that. My goal is that I'm going to take an audience who are at a 3 out of 10 in terms of knowledge, and I'm going to move them to a 4. All right, my obstacle is some of them are a 5 and some of them are a 1. So how am I keeping both of these types of people engaged? How am I taking the 1 to a 4, and how am I making sure the 5 doesn't feel like it was a waste of her or his time? The tactics might be, I'm going to turn this into a conversation more than a presentation. So I'm going to make it very clear at the very beginning that this is a great opportunity for somebody to ask a question for clarification. Sometimes we use too many acronyms and not everybody knows them. It's a safe space to ask questions that you feel like maybe you should know and don't. It's an opportunity to have some time in the middle of your talk for you to turn to your neighbor and say, wow, here's what so far is really surprising me. Here's what's confusing me. Here's what I didn't know. Here's where I think the speaker could actually say more. Here's where I think we could take this even further. We're going to have a spot in the middle of this talk where we all take 30 seconds and breathe, because what I know as a presenter is that I'm probably not breathing and you might not be either. So hang with me for 20 minutes and we're going to take a breathing exercise which is going to reinvigorate your brain. Those are all tactics that you might use. In addition to, I'm going to start with a heck of a metaphor or an incredible anecdote. I'm going to make sure that my PowerPoint doesn't have too many words in it. I'm going to make sure that I don't just quit. I'm going to make sure that I come on stage already going. I don't wait till I get on stage and then change my posture. I come on stage already having started. Pam's going to talk about what she does in the bathroom if she hasn't already. That's what we're talking about. My expectation then for a talk with these obstacles and these tactics is simply that everybody's going to walk away and say, wow, I learned something new. And they either learned it from you, the presenter, or they learned it from their partner who asked a compelling question when they had that small breakout, or they learned it from somebody who took the time in the middle to say, wait a minute, I don't know what that means. And you as the presenter clarified it. It's all about raising the stakes. Don't think of this as a 45-minute talk. Think of this as a 45-minute opportunity to activate whoever comes to see you and to give your best, most compelling self to them for that whole time and to keep them giving their best, most compelling selves back to you. All right, now, with that in mind, you're going to go back to your Gote worksheet and you're going to fill it out again. And then you're going to meet again with somebody. It can be the same person or somebody new. And you're going to see what happens when you raise the stakes on your Gote. And I cannot wait to hear how this goes. All right, go to town.